Welcome to Queer Next, the podcast that puts the yeehaw in y'all means all. I'm your host, Beck.
And I am your host, Dash. Welcome to today's episode. Is it an Olympics year?
Yes, it is. Winter Olympics.
It's winter? Okay. I love the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, me too.
They're the redneck Olympics. They really feel, summer's kind of proper, like you're like lots of running and like sports that everybody agrees are sports, but winter, winter is like what the Winter Olympics are, like the hold my beer Olympics. It's just like us finding new ways to throw ourselves off of shit.
Like curling has become a national phenomenon, though.
They do that up here.
There's one in Bowling Green. There's a curling center. Have
you ever been?
No.
I kind of want to do it.
So I have a thing with ice that I don't know if I could do it. Okay, y'all are going to think I'm crazy and a little bit weird, and I am. It's okay. But like everyone has some texture they don't like. Maybe it's popsicle sticks, maybe it's cotton, maybe it's whatever. Everyone has like some texture they don't like. My dad, he didn't like satin. It just gave him the like goosebumps every time he touched it. I'm that way with like dry, not wet ice, like straight out of the freezer. If it sticks to your hand, it makes me gag. And the sound of two pieces of ice scraping against each other makes me nearly throw up.
Wow.
So it's really hard for me to like scrape the windshield in the winter.
Oh, goodness. I remember the first year I saw curling, I think it was like 2009, the 2008 Olympics. Was that Tokyo?
No, Tokyo was during the pandemic, or maybe they've had them twice.
Right.
That was the Summer Olympics for Tokyo recently.
Okay. They were in China. They were Beijing. Okay. Oh, I got them mixed up. Sorry, all Asians. Is snowpocalypse there yet?
It is supposed to start tonight. We're supposed to get like 2 inches overnight tonight, and then it's supposed to snow all day tomorrow, and we're expecting between 7 and 9 inches after that. So anywhere between 10 and 12 inches, I guess, is what we're expecting total over the next few days. And that's not really the bad part. It's that it is going to be wind gusts of like 30 to 50 miles an hour and temperatures below zero on top of all of that. So yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to have school on Monday. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they should. I mean, the wind and cold is a problem. Like a person can get frostbite, and I think it's 15 minutes outside. You can get frostbite.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of commuter students, right, that are going to have to deal with the highways and stuff like that, and professors coming in. It's going to be a mess. I don't know. We'll see. If they don't, I might do my class online Monday. We're allowed to do that.
If you're allowed.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I found out I get to keep my job next year. I'm already scheduled for spring of 27. That's very good. I learned that because of the faculty union, if they offer me a 4th year, they're required to offer me a 3-year contract.
Oh.
So here's hoping.
Okay.
Yeah. It's either that or I'm going to hit the highway.
Those 3-year contracts are pretty nice. Like it's just a little bit of security for a little while, but you're not having to pursue like full tenure type shit.
Yeah.
Just do your regular reviews and then decide next go around. I mean, you hope they want you back, but I mean, a lot of staffing is just inertia, especially when it comes to teaching gen eds. Like I know people who adjuncted, like they adjuncted forever because they were dependable and it was all they wanted. They didn't want to, all the other bullshit.
That's what Jamie does. Was for the Pathways program.
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought about it here, but everything is so far away.
Try SNHU, or California Southern University has been advertising me a lot. I guess they're ramping up their online program. I've seen so much advertising for them recently. But teaching online is interesting. It doesn't pay great, but they're usually 8-week semesters. And there's a lot of grading, but it's pretty standard. It's pretty cut and dry.
SNHU won't hire you in Minnesota. I think that those types of programs, there are certain states whose employment laws or tax laws or something like that don't vibe with what their setup is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be a minimum wage thing, right. But yeah, SNHU doesn't hire in Minnesota. But yeah, right now I'm back to work at my job here part-time. I'm just trying to do some stuff remotely, trying to be of help in some way while they we're on to the next thing now with trying to figure out what's going on with my back and my neck. I really think that this is just the rest of my life, though. I mean, my whole life has already been pretty much constant chronic pain, and it does make sense that at a certain age, it would just simply get worse. So that could be what this is.
I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop with my being diabetic. I've been diabetic. I've been diagnosed diabetic since 2014.
I think it was recent for me, I think. I don't know. I mean, I've had the occasional like blood sugar thing. I'm more likely to have low blood sugar, or like
hypoglycemia.
Yeah.
Yeah. A tip somebody gave me one time, because that would happen to me too when I would be working at weddings and stuff, especially. One time my sugar dropped real quick and a lady pulled out, those tiny little tubes of icing that you get to write on top of a cake?
Yeah.
Keep one of those in your bag. It's pure sugar.
My Aunt Josie used to keep those really soft peppermints.
I'm allergic.
Yeah.
Buttermints?
Not sure, but yeah, she had just a pocketbook full of various sugar candies.
Yeah. I keep Welch's fruit snacks in my bag in case that happens. So.
Well, that's smart. I love gummies. I don't know if I would just probably just eat them though. This wearable thing, I get like a terrifying alert, an alarm goes off when my blood sugar drops. I'm not a fan of that.
My insurance company sent me a new glucometer and some really futuristic, like look at
We're
these
tested in the future.
Yeah, so you look at this test strip.
It's got a computer in it.
I know. It's like plastic completely, and it's like a computer chip, and it's wild. And I don't know how to get these. I don't know how to get these from my doc. I have a doctor's appointment in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to take it with me and have her write a prescription for those. Because if your insurance company sends them, obviously they accept them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm tired of fucking doctors and insurance and shit.
You and me both. But my doctor, again, refused my insulin prescription until I come see her. So I really got to go. I had an endocrinologist, and the woman that was the main doctor in the practice left. And so they were bouncing around and didn't have a doctor for a while. And I just haven't been in since I was living down home.
Yeah, I'm supposed to see one. That's who prescribes HRT for trans people most of the time, an endocrinologist.
Ah, got you.
But I usually just convince a private practice doctor to do it for me.
Yeah.
You already know the stuff you need to know to be able to do this. I can teach you the rest. I literally am certified to teach continuing education courses in this. I know that's a privilege, being able to kind of do that, work with your own doctor. So, because I would have to go, and the students were having to do this, drive to the Twin Cities to see an endo.
Yeah.
That would prescribe them HRT. Because it's so common, and I think we've talked about this before, doctors will just look you in the face and say, well, I can't treat you for that because I'm not an expert. That they don't say that very often.
Right.
But they say it to trans people constantly. They're so afraid and mystified by what we are, what happens to our bodies. I don't even think it's that. I think that it's an unconscious bias that we are so fucking alien. We are so unlike everybody else that we must have to have our own version of whatever. I need to go find a trans cardiologist if I ever have, some sort of heart thing. It's and they'll say that. They're like, well, I don't know how your heart is supposed to behave. And it's probably very similar to many other people's.
How does that even make sense?
They'll say, oh, it's because you're on hormones and hormones change things. Correct. They do. That's why I take them. Every other living human being also has these hormones. And in a way, it's kind of infuriating because I have to gas them up. I have to be like, you're not as stupid as you think you are. You can do this. It's okay. It's called trans broken arm syndrome. There's some articles been published by it. I actually think I worked with the doctor at the med school at SIU who first published this. And doctors, they're not very good at examining their own culture, especially the culture of their treatment. And so this person, it's a phenomenon very similar. Fat people experience it. People with disabilities or chronic illnesses experience something similar too. But what he means by trans broken arm syndrome is, say I went to the doctor for a broken arm. I suspect this arm is broken. And they said, well, we should check your testosterone levels first. And then say, I have to send you to a specialist who treats trans people for your broken arm. which is one step further than the version of medical bias that a fat person might experience, where, you know, like you go to the doctor and you got a broken arm and you're a fat person and they say, well, we need to do blood work and check your cholesterol and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I seriously doubt my cholesterol broke my arm. And so it delays treatment.
It's like when they did a pregnancy test on Shanna because she had a UTI, even though she insisted she was a lesbian.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And medical and they all fall back on the same thing. Like, oh, it's just procedure, or
insurance.
Insurance is a big problem too. But, you know, I need to know this because I'm dealing with you in this way. So like this surgeon in Fargo who refused to put male as my legal sex. They're like, well, we have to deal with what your body actually is. Right. And it's like, you can do that. They don't understand that they're playing into the social construct.
Right.
Because the letter M has nothing to do with the body that you're looking at right now. And you can't convince me that this is for paperwork reasons, because you're actually fucking my whole shit up right now.
Right.
By putting female here. My insurance doesn't know who the hell you're talking about. I mean, they have fought me, not as hard as it would have happened in another state, probably. If I was a North Dakota resident, oh God, I would say that I'd be paying out of pocket for this neck surgery.
Oh, wow.
You know how they're always looking for an excuse not to cover things.
Right.
And so if a provider puts the wrong sex for you, insurance is just going to take that as an opportunity to not cover it. And that's a big reason why I moved to Minnesota. There's a small number of states that insurance is both by law and by culture more likely to take care of a trans person. But this surgeon is in Fargo, literally across the border, right, into North Dakota. Like, Fargo's right on the border, and the culture of treatment is extremely different. Like, they made me take pregnancy tests because they were like, well, don't you still have female parts? They asked me that on the phone. I was like, oh, great. Okay, so it's going to be that kind of experience. This was the pre-surgical screening. She goes, do you still have female parts? And I would have been an asshole if I had been dealing with someone that I had civil rights with, but I don't in North Dakota. So I just said yes. Because, you know, what I would have said if it had been a Minnesota provider is which ones, which female parts. Females have many parts. Because if you make them say that, you then can say, well, that part doesn't get pregnant, so I don't need to take a pregnancy test, right? A vagina doesn't get pregnant. You didn't ask me if I had ovaries. You didn't ask me if I had functioning fallopia. You didn't ask me if I ovulate. You know, you said, do you have female parts? That could have meant breasts. That could have meant, and there's plenty of, you know, like that. I didn't have the right to push back on it because they would have probably just refused to do the surgery because they have the right to do that in North Dakota. In most states, they have the right to refuse to do surgery on someone because they're trans. So I just said yes. And so then they made me take pregnancy tests because I could be pregnant. And I was like, that's not the question you asked me. You didn't ask me, whatever. And then, so they fall back on like, oh, well, it's about safety because if you were pregnant and we did this procedure or gave you this drug or whatever, then it could be fatal for the fetus. And it's like, well, if we were talking about pregnancy, we would have been having a different conversation, but we weren't. We were talking about my gender and my genitalia. And I just played nice with them until I could get done with them.
Have you heard of a quote unquote documentary, a Frontline episode called Growing Up Trans? Have you ever heard of that before?
It rings a bell. There was a time when I was pretty plugged in on that, Growing Up Trans.
It's a Frontline episode.
Yeah, here it is.
Just wondering what you thought about it.
I haven't seen it. It's quite old.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. It's about kids, so yeah. I'm sure it has got some weird shit in it. What did you think of it?
I can see where it had some problems as the culture has changed a bit in the last, 10, 15 years about the way we talk, the language we use around things, that kind of thing. Not to say that language is invalid if people are still using it, especially if it applies to themselves. But as a person who is not trans, the language has gotten more sensitive, in my opinion. And I found that to be kind of weird. I thought about showing it in class, but I was afraid that like some other words, students, because they hear them, they will feel free to use them. So I don't know. And then I would have to address that. But I also think it would be good for people to see, 10-year-old trans kids that are absolutely passing. Not that that is important, But I think if people could see that these kids are just kids and they really are telling the truth that they are this other gender, I think that that could be mind changing for some of these kids, to see that it does start that early, because the parents come on and they're like, at 3 years old, he was already trying to, take off his dresses and stuff like that. And I think if people would understand that this stuff isn't just you decide in high school or you decide when you're 35, this stuff is from the beginning for a lot of people.
I have to show things all the time that use outdated discourse, outdated ideas around things. It's totally possible to do that. I prepare like a little pre-critical lecture talking, saying, first of all, I chose this because of, the fact that there's not a lot of resources about this. We're not spoiled for choice when it comes to information about trans children. That is because Frontline, it's a political subject. It's inherently a political subject, but a source like Frontline is not going to they're not going to set out to be sensationalist.
Right.
And so I will always say, this is this many years old. You'll hear these terms and whatever, and these are no longer appropriate to be used by anyone who doesn't identify this way, because we have to, even when it comes to like the super problematic, we have to show it. I show Paris is Burning fairly regularly as part of.
I need to watch it. It's part of my need to watch list.
Yeah, it can be hard to find. For a long time there, Jenny Livingston, it was available nowhere. You had to go through her. Couldn't even get it from Swank. You had to go straight through her to get the rights to screen it, and they were $1,000.
Oh wow!
I have beef with Jenny Livingston. A lot of people do. This is not just me, right? Like there's accusations that she intentionally misrepresented what she was doing with the documentary to the women that she chronicled. And you could actually see it. I see evidence, like the accusation is that she kind of insinuated that she was in some way connected with the fashion industry, that she could have been a talent scout, and she denies it. But there's some scenes in this movie where these women are obviously being interviewed, talking about their hopes and dreams, their career goals. And it's like, well, then how did this become a trend in their interviews then?
Right.
If you weren't bringing it up. But it's available for streaming somewhere. Oh, it's on Tubi. Yep, it's free on Tubi and Plex. Looks like you can get it. It's on HBO Max as well if you have that. So yeah, it's available more places now, which is good, because it's a very important movie. But the things that they do and say about their identities, the ways they talk about gender, a lot of people might hear that as internalized homophobia. I could agree with that. I think that in 20, 30 years, 50 years from now, we'll look back at the ways that we talked about ourselves and be able to see, okay, there were some vestiges of internalized transphobia or homophobia. Like that stuff's always going to be there. We haven't eradicated that. We're not living in some time where we are fully able to deconstruct our isms, our unconscious biases. We're just not aware of them yet. So when you feel like it's worth it, when you're like thinking about showing something that is perhaps outdated or uses outdated language, does the reward outweigh whatever risk there may be? If the answer is yes, next you start to go about a way to mitigate that risk by providing them knowledge about those pieces ahead of time. Sometimes assign a reading, sometimes just prepare a few slides. And then afterwards, that can also help your post-viewing discussion too. But yeah, Paris is Burning is a lot of people, they may not realize, I think they don't realize. We all think we invented culture, right? So at our drag show last year, we had a couple of hosts, one of whom was an alum. They were very sweet. It was they were awful. They were actually terrible MCs, but they were so like authentic and sweet. And because the one was an alum, like there was some affection for the campus and the space, and it worked. Sometimes it's not about like being a professional who's always polished and on. Sometimes it's about that authenticity, and the students absolutely, they just loved being able to have a mentor. One was a trans woman of color who was an alum, She's 39 years old. And the younger person, who was like her drag daughter, referred to her as mother before mother was a thing. And I was like, wait a minute here. Do you think Gen Z invented mother? I was like, good God Almighty. Okay, we've got to show Paris is burning. Y'all didn't invent this. And that, it sounds a little get off my lawn. It's not about them taking credit for something that they inherited, because we all do that. There's a particular kind of violence to erasure when it comes to minoritized groups. And the people in that film are dead, and they died young. I mean, not all of them. Some of them are still alive, but they died of violence. They died of HIV, AIDS. They died of ill health and not having access to healthcare. They died of poverty. And so, like, all that is to say to anyone out there, like, engage with problematic texts if the reward outweighs the risk, because it's possible for us to lose ourselves, or especially our old selves, right? And then the people who are still around, the elders. Does anybody call you a queer elder?
Yes. The students have called me that a few times over the years. So I also personally claim it. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm in that weird generation between Gen X and between the millennials. We're called Zennials, right? We were the last ones to play outside without computers, and the first ones to have computers in school, and, you know, kind of one foot on either side of the digital divide. So
yeah, I'm technically a first year millennial. So the very, very first year of.
So you're an elder millennial.
Right. I'm an elder queer millennial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there are, especially gay men. I know some gay men who are like react negatively to being called a queer elder. Maybe that is part of. They also, have you ever heard the phrase gay dead or gay death?
I've heard of lesbian bed death.
Yeah, which is another kind of problematic. But no, gay death is apparently a gay man over 30.
How does that even work out?
Their currency, their cultural cachet, their relevance is youth. So I first heard the term. It's very flippant. A lot of cis gay culture, especially cis gay white culture, is flippant, dismissive, does not consider the experiences of anyone else. I've seen a couple of examples of that lately, but I heard some kids say it while I was working there, and the little center that they had there, it was not a center. It was just some like high cubicle walls, there on the OMA floor. Right. So when they were in there, kikiing or whatever, like we could hear them. They were pretty audible. And so, but I heard someone say, they were talking about gay death, and somebody said, "What is gay death?" They're like, "Oh, when you hit 30, that's gay dead." And I was like, I went in there and I said, I'm not going to do this to you all often, and I know it's uncomfortable knowing that someone has heard something you said, right? I wish you had a more secure space to be yourselves, but our community is one for whom 30 was aspirational, like fully in the 80s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. Our community knew that to reach the age of 30 would have been a miracle. So, like, I get the joke. I understand what you're describing. You're describing a real problem in the gay community that is ageist. I get it. I understand our humor or whatever, but let's not call it gay death to get old. Like, maybe let's reframe this a little bit in a way that honors the millions of people that never saw 30.
What'd they say?
They were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, oh snap, I get it." And it was students that I had a relationship with, so I didn't often police their language, but I was first of all conscious of I know that I was reacting, out of my own emotions, but also conscious of the fact that these were student leaders in the space and everybody could hear what they were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was also reacting emotionally, because I was like, I know people who died of AIDS, not many, but
most of the people that I know that have it have lived a very long life. So that speaks to the power of the medications and the technology that have come along. I've known people that have been sick for 20, 25 years.
Yeah. There was a case, there was someone actually in Jellicoe who had it, and this was the first time that I remember anyway. Well, this is a friend of David's had been intimate with this person. And so he was telling me how worried he was. And I'm pretty sure that he had also been intimate with this person, because he was like, "Yeah, there's a guy down Jellicoe Hospital dying of AIDS. And, my friend had been sleeping with him. And I was like, and were you sleeping with any of these people? Like, should we get you tested? Everybody ignored it until it came home, I guess.
I just read a good book and I've already forgotten the name of it, unfortunately. I literally read it like 4 months ago about a guy. It was the early 90s, and a guy comes home to his home in Southern Ohio, and he's gay he had moved to New York when he was like 17, and he came home after his lover died and he was dying of AIDS, and he came home to his parents' house, and it was how the town reacted to him and how his sister reacted and his grandma reacted, and all of that. And it was very eye-opening. I'm glad I read it. Shanna had an uncle. I think she remembered him like very vaguely when she was 2 or 3, but it was her mom's brother, and he was part of the AIDS epidemic, and he died as part of all of that.
Yeah. It never got too close to me. I've known quite a few people who were pos, but only just a couple of like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon removed acquaintances who actually passed away.
Yeah.
And some people that I like, after I lost contact with them, I found out that they passed away.
I think I've known more young people to die of sepsis than I have of HIV.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's what Jiggly Caliente died of.
I don't know who that is.
She died last year. She was a comedian. She was on an earlier season of RuPaul's Drag Race, and she had sepsis. And how does that? It sounds to me like dying of scurvy or something, right? Like that's
That's just when infection gets out of control in your body. Like my friend Jonas, I've brought him up before. He was only 41 when he passed. He had back surgery, and he was an alcoholic and wouldn't quit drinking. And he got drunk while he was recovering from back surgery several times, and that led to sepsis, and he died.
Wow.
Yep.
Death is sneaky.
Yep. He's in the same cemetery that I'm going to be buried in, though, so at least I have friends there.
You know what I thought about? I was getting programs ready for Black History Month at work. I'm not able to do much. It's going to be kind of lackluster. I think we've only got like 4 things to put on the calendar because I'm just not there physically. But I thought like this is my programming brain, we should pick a movie to review for Black History Month. And then I was like, what in the world are 2 white rednecks do for Black History Month? Who in the world needs that? Nobody asked for that.
Yeah, nobody asked for that. Nobody Wants This is the TV show is called.
Oh, I watched the first episode of that after I talked to you.
It's really cute.
About it.
Yeah.
It was surprising. Yeah, it's really cute. I've been doing nostalgia lately, but feeling kind of nostalgic, or I think I'm trying to feel nostalgic. I don't know if you ever do that. You're like, I want to remember what it was like to be in another time.
I think everybody is feeling nostalgic for 2016 because that was before Trump got into our lives too much,
Yeah. Something I realized is I started transitioning in 2015. So like my transition is the exact arc of this current hellscape we find ourselves in.
So you picked a fine time to do this.
Yeah, apparently.
To be existing.
Do you remember in the place that we were living there in Northwest Ohio is famous, or at the time was famous, I don't even know if this is still true, for always voting for whoever becomes president.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, up until that point anyway, and 2016 was the same. It had the whole time that town has existed, it has voted the exact same as whoever becomes president.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was that sort of, I don't know if you remember all the white supremacists waking up there.
Oh, yeah.
When Trump, they would drive around in their trucks with the Trump flags. The Oath Keepers started to wander around the small and ask brown people to see their papers, shit like that. I mean, that was going on in 2015.
It's known as a sundown town.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a very queer-phobic town.
Yeah.
I had all kinds of horrible experiences there. And where I lived, too, was kind of, I mean, it was a shitty part. It was right downtown. So there was a lot of like drunken fights and things happen down there. Like I saw somebody get stabbed in the middle of the road there on Prospect Street. And then the Black Swamp Festival would always be right outside my door, and those people would turn up. And then I remember like the politics began to get really charged and injected into everything. And that's what the rest of the country feels like now. I remember when I left, I was like, I am never going back. I'm never living here again. Like if I move back to that area, it is going to be in an adjacent town or somewhere within commuting distance, because that was dreadful. Somebody threw a cup of piss on me because I was visibly queer. It was the day after the election.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, I think they had been up all night. I was walking to my therapy appointment. I had therapy at like 7:30 in the morning, and it was kind of a walk. And so I had to start walking at like 6:30 to get there on time. And I had been up all night too, because remember that election wasn't decided until like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So I think that they were just really, I think they were out fucking with everybody. And I think that they were drunk. That they were in one of those like lifted trucks with the Trump flags all over it and just out bothering anybody. And I was visibly queer at the time. So just wrong place, wrong time. That happens to me a lot. That's something that I'm sure people of color know exactly what that means. But, anybody who has a marginalized identity, the number of times you find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time is just kind of astronomically high compared to, that was actually not as bad as the dip spit though.
You told me about that when you were in school.
Yeah. Still threw all the clothes away.
Yeah, I would have too. That's disgusting. When I think of spit, I think of this kid that I had in class, and it was when I was still a TA. So I was very early in my teaching years. And he was very intently poring over his book, and he had an iPad, and he was watching a hockey game in the middle of class, and he had a spit bottle that he was actively using. So he was sitting there chewing and watching a game in the middle of class. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you even here? Like, I didn't know how to handle things back then. So.
Well, you didn't have the authority to either, really.
Yeah. Though I do have a clause in my syllabus that says I reserve the right to ask any student to leave for any reason. Because, I've had a couple of times where my students have just been way out of pocket and they just need to go,
Really?
Like the time that I had a kid, the only time I've ever thrown somebody out of class, the kid, there's a fly in here. The kid started.
I can see it.
It has this vengeance set on me. No, this kid, we were talking about sexual assault and consent and that kind of thing. And he started screaming that Bill Cosby was framed. And my mouth threw him out before my brain even knew what was going on. I was like, you need to go. You need to go. And he bitched and moaned and pissed and slammed and all that. But he left, and he tried to go to my boss. And because he had been a problem several times because he was a freshman football player and he thought that he was extra special for that. So he would come in late every day. He'd fall asleep in the back of the room. He'd always have his cell phone out. He was rude to me and several different, and I had kept my boss abreast of these situations, like you're supposed to. And he was like, who's your boss? And I was like, wrote it down for him. And I was like, here you go. And he went. And by the time he came back to me, he had agreed with her that he was going to be on time for class. He was going to stay awake during class, and that he was going to do his work, because she threatened to tell his coach about everything that I had already told her about him. So, yeah. So he learned.
That's nice.
Yeah. It was the same kid causing all those problems. He ended up famously transferring to another school a few weeks after that. So, or like the next semester.
Bill Cosby was framed. I remember all of the white people who were absolutely white knighting for Bill Cosby. Like even my grandparents who were Trump supporters, they were like, they're just trying to ruin his life or whatever. And I started thinking, I was like, what? When have white people shown up en masse to defend a person of color? And this is the nerd in me. I started doing research, and like plenty of people of color had written either, articles or blogs or actual like scholarship on why Bill Cosby was the white person's black comedian, because he was the mouthpiece of respectability politics.
Right.
Like he would tell other black people publicly in the media as part of his stand-up, he would be like, tell them to act right. He would say, pull your pants up and stuff like that.
Yep.
So white people loved Bill Cosby because Bill Cosby was, are we allowed to say Uncle Tom?
I mean, know.
Well, he enforced something that whiteness benefited from on other people of color publicly, like in the entertainment space.
Would you call that like internalized racism?
I would, yeah. I think it's more appropriate to say something, to be descriptive instead of using the term Uncle Tom, because I also was sort of thinking like, is that a term for white people to even use? How often is it even appropriate for us to even be calling that out, critical of that or whatever? So yeah, in terms of Bill Cosby, I would say whatever it was, whatever his motivations were, proximity to whiteness, maybe. White people loved the fact that he would enforce really outdated respectability politics onto other black people, in particular black men. So fuck Bill Cosby in general, though, because he's a rapist.
Yep. And I was a big Bill Cosby fan. I loved some of his stand-up. He had some of the funniest stand-up there ever was.
Absolutely. I still quote Bill Cosby himself regularly.
Yeah.
Like, but, you know, I mean, and that's kind of growing up. Because, like, growing up is learning that, like, many of the things that you loved and even were part of your growth and identity were not so great. We're fucking shitty for some people.
Right.
And we don't get to go like, well, I enjoyed it, though. Like, how... First of all, say that out loud right now. You know, somebody tells you something, somebody has harmed them physically or emotionally, and you're like, well, I like it.
Right. I kind of feel that way about my friends. When we all lived in the dorms, there was a big group of us that were friends. There's 4 of us that are core. And then there's a couple of like stragglers that we have incorporated over the years. And this one girl, she is just a mean girl. And she's the one that sent me the Biggest Loser link to apply. And that wasn't even all the stuff that she did. There were several things. And so we are no longer friends. But I noticed that I've still got like 4 friends in common with her. And I have a little bit of big beef with them. Because if she was that awful to me, they should get rid of her, you know? But you don't get that. So.
No, have you ever been in like dealt with a friend breakup and like they're like dividing up the friends? Or like, you know, somebody with people who've been a couple for a really long time and they have the same friends, when they break up, like you kind of have to pick a side.
I don't know. I haven't really been friends with a lot of couples that we came into the friendship as the couple. Usually it's one person and then they find their person and then they get divorced and we keep the original person.
It's only happened to me like a couple times, I think.
That has to be awkward.
It probably is. For me, it was not so bad because I'm kind of good at I'm not sure what you would really call it. I'm just able to do it. I'm able to stay friends with.
Compartmentalizing?
Yeah, because it's not taking a side, because that's stupid. Nobody is impartial. It was just like when I was with one of them, if the other person came up, it was like, you just listen. They're not looking for your opinion anyway. So like if your opinion gets brought up in a situation like that, that's on you. And a lot of times they're just looking for somebody to listen anyway. So
right. Aren't we all?
Yeah. Well, in honor of the weather, maybe it's time to hear from this week's sponsor.
Ooh, the weather. Okay.
The weather.
We've already got our Kroger pickup, so we're good to go. We got everything for French toast.
Oh my God. That is our sponsor. So
French toast?
The special weather report is sponsored by Milk Sammiches. And lo, the clouds did gather, and the meteorologist spake, saying, accumulation possible. And the people heard this and were sorely afraid. In unison they toned, milk sandwiches. Thus the first seal was broken, and the bread aisle was laid waste, save for gluten-free options, which nobody knew anything to do with. The second seal was broken, and the eggs vanished, though no one knew what purpose and for how many breakfasts. And the third seal was broken, and milk flowed like a river, 2% and whole, stacked into the heavens in carts piloted by men in shorts who heed not your meteorology, but rather older, more heathen gods of khaki. And the fourth seal, black ice. Milk sandwiches were gathered in great quantity, for the people believed, if I have milk, bread, and eggs, then surely I shall endure. Endure what? They could not say. There was wailing in the parking lot, and there was gnashing of teeth when the last loaf was taken by a stranger with no shame. There was one person yelling, they're saying it's only flurries, and no one listened, for the prophecy had been fulfilled. And though the snow fell but lightly, and the roads remained mostly passable, the milk sandwiches were not in vain. For the people had performed the ritual. They had shown readiness, and they had said, as one body, we will not face our maker with refrigerator shelves empty. So when the sirens sing, and the bread aisle empties once more, go forth, children, and gather your dairy. Neither food, not logic, but instead faith. For the end may be nigh, but it also might be slippery. Milk sandwiches, as it was foretold. Please panic responsibly.
I got brownie bites, and I got Totino's pizzas, and I got macaroni and cheese, and I got stuff to make chili, because we never did make it the other day, the hamburgers in the freezer. So we've got everything. So I just got another thing of hamburgers, so I don't have to thaw it. I'm ready.
I said something about milk sandwiches one time. It was an icebreaker, and nobody knew what I was talking about. And I was like, it's the store run before a snowstorm hits. It's milk sandwiches. But yeah, I don't know. When did we just all decide, because we apparently did, that it has to be milk and bread and eggs? What are we making with those?
French toast. That's the only logical thing.
Yeah.
I got
exactly.
bacon. I did get bacon. I like to eat Castleberry hot dog sauce with just plain bread. So we got some extra bread for that. I think we got some Jello pudding, the cups.
Ooh.
We get the vanilla chocolate swirl one. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I got a strawberry cheesecake too. It's in the fridge thawing.
Damn.
Sarah,
I've been following my diet and things, trying to get my macros to the best of my ability. I mean, most of the time I don't do it because they want me to have an insane amount of protein and next to no carbs. And I'm like, girl, I'll do my best, but I'm not. But to get the amount of protein they want, because I don't have much of an appetite right now either. So I got some protein powder. Vanessa sent me like this gigantic bag of whey protein isolate, but it's flavored like vanilla bean something. And so if you put that in like Greek yogurt, it kind of tastes like ice cream.
nice.
And so like I can put it in granola or put it on top of like some sort of pastry if I wanted to, which I don't normally get.
Have you seen that Nature Valley came out with a bag of granola bits that are just their broken granola bars?
Nope, but
I bought them. It says 34 bars in here or something like that. It's a crazy number of they're unwrapped in just big pieces, and I love it I love a good parfait with a fruit and yogurt with granola.
Yep, that's what I've been doing. I've got like the low fat Greek yogurt because it's a ton of protein, and then I'll bust up a graham cracker and then put I think it's Kind. Sometimes I get, or Bare Naked, the crumbles of granola, and then stir that powder in there. It's pretty delicious. I hate having to think about food all the time though.
Yeah, me too.
Did you bring a noun of Appalachian interest?
I did. Did you see the video I sent you on Facebook?
Of the glass, yeah.
Oh no, that was another one that I sent you like yesterday.
Oh.
I didn't know if you would have seen
I don't have the Messenger app on my phone.
Got ya.
So I have to go into, oh, I see. No, I didn't see that one.
I'll explain what it is after I do the thing.
Okay.
All right. So this week's Down of Appalachian Interest is a place called Hillbilly Hotdogs. If you've ever driven through West Virginia and thought, I could really go for a hot dog and a run-of-the-mill experience, then, buddy, this place is not for you. But if you want a hot dog and a story you'll be telling for the rest of your life, welcome to Hillbilly Hotdogs. Hillbilly Hotdogs in Lesage, West Virginia is not just a restaurant. It's an Appalachian landmark. It's a roadside situation. It's what happens when someone looks at an old bus, a shack, some scrap metal, and a dream and says, yeah, this'll work. And it does really well. The menu starts with hot dogs, but it does not stop there. You can get toppings you recognize, toppings you forgot about, and toppings like onion rings and deep fried pickles. These are not polite hot dogs. These are real commitment dogs. You don't eat them in a hurry. You eat them knowing your afternoon plans may change. And if you're feeling brave, like commitment level brave, there's the 15-inch Homewrecker. It stretches the limits of what a hot dog should be and makes no apologies for it. The name alone lets you know that this is a serious decision. Ordering it is a leap of faith, and finishing it becomes a story you'll tell for years like a badge of honor. Now let's talk about the setting. You might eat inside an old school bus. You might eat next to a wash tub. You might sit next to license plate, bras, signs, and myriad things that defy explanation. It looks like a yard sale, an art installation, or a mystery hole all rolled into one. But somehow it works. That's Appalachian math. And yes, because this place refuses to be normal, they also have a wedding chapel on the property, should you find yourself in need of one of a hurry. And that's right, you can eat a hot dog, walk a few steps, and get married. Nothing says commitment like vows followed immediately by chili and slaw. Love is real, love is lasting, love smells faintly like onions. People come from everywhere to eat here. Tourists, road trippers, and even celebrities like Guy Fieri from diners, drive-ins, and dives. Some folks spot it on TV ads and think, well, that's on the list now. And locals, they don't make a big deal out of it. They just shrug a little, smile, and say, yep, that's Hillbilly Hotdogs. Everything about this place is messy. It's loud and chaotic, but mostly it's just unforgettable. It's exactly what kind of place that proves that Appalachia does not do boring. We do character, we do flavor, we do West Virginia slaw dogs with confidence. So if you ever find yourself hungry in West Virginia and willing to trust the universe a little, follow the signs down Route 2, grab a napkin or 6, and remember, this is not fast food. This is mountain food that knows exactly what it is and isn't asking for permission. So that's this week's Down of Appalachian Interest, Hillbilly Hotdogs in Lesage, West Virginia. Tell them Queer Next sent you.
Good God, this website's incredible.
The video I sent you is the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dive. It's about 5 minutes long. It's the episode. I'll link it for the listeners in the newsletter this week. But you can actually check out the place. They show you some of the stuff. There's a congressman that shows up and eats a hot dog in the middle of it. Like, Hillbilly Hotdogs is... So when my parents came to Huntington one time when I lived there, they had a store in Huntington. And so we took them there one time. And the guy that owns it was there. And he came out and told us the story of the Homewrecker. And it was named for exactly the reason that you think it was. They were shopping for a new product. And the people that make the hot dogs whipped out this giant one and laid it on the table. And his brother was like, well, that's a home wrecker. And if you can eat it, I think it's like 10 minutes or less, and you can get it for free and you get a t-shirt. So they have a challenge that goes with it too.
Yeah, there's a picture on the homepage of a woman holding the home wrecker. I guess this is Sunny. And it's on a 16-inch pizza platter. Uh-huh. And it almost fills it up end to end. Oh man, I don't know about that, but I tell you what, I would mess up this coal miner wiener dog, deep fried. Deep fried weenie with some chili sauce and some mustard and Cajun seasoning. Jesus, Mothman dog.
You can't say they're not creative.
No, and these look legitimately. This is like. Some people, when they tried it to do, they get a little gastropod about something, they're like, I'm going to elevate the wiener dog. No, you're not. You can make it weirder, but you're not elevating that thing nowhere.
Right.
Like, and so that whole gastropub scene, like this is a deconstructed taco. Bitch, that's a pile of meat. And you can't tell me it's anything else. And some of it's delicious, I'm sure, but like it's the pretension that I can't stand, the pretentiousness.
That's one thing you will not find at Hillbilly Hotdogs. I'll give you that.
And this wedding chapel, like there's photos of it on here. It is garish and wonderful, just absolute trash. There's a van up a tree. It's literally just a cabin, a whole Saigon cabin. Halfway up a mountainside with 2 trees and it's just sheet metal. Oh, I love it. Listeners, please let us know if you've been here. And if you live in the area and you haven't, take a trip. Take a trip, take some photos and tag us on Facebook or Instagram at QueerNext, because I would love to see y'all patronizing the establishment like this. They have online merch.
Or if you have any stores or little hole-in-the-wall places like this that you could tell me about that I could do for the Down of Appalachian Interest, please let me know. I would love to learn more about the region.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, where's the weird place that can't be missed where you're from?
In Portsmouth, there's the footer stand. Everybody calls it the footer stand, where they have a particular kind of chili sauce that they use down there, but you can buy an actual foot-long hot dog for like $2. And it comes with sauce and chili and or sauce and onion and mustard, I think. I always get them without the hot dog. I just get the sauce on the bun. But then you can get like little fried cheese squares and any kind of ice cream you can imagine. And it's still like 1987 prices, and it's delicious. And it's all lit up with neon, and it's all outside. You stand at a window. It's like a dairy bar. It's called a Dairy Cream. There's nowhere to eat inside. It's just the restaurant and everything else is outside.
Some of the best diners is that in Eastern Kentucky specifically, there's a whole culture of that.
Yeah.
Walk up window and place your order. It's like a food truck that doesn't go anywhere. And then there might be some picnic tables, but mostly people just sitting around on the ground eating their ice cream or their hot dog or whatever it was they got. There's a place in Carbondale, Illinois. It was a Dairy Queen, but it was an individual franchise. It wasn't part of, and you couldn't go inside. And so they were only open from like April to October. And people, like, there would be an announcement on Facebook or something, or they would put it in the paper or on the radio or on the news. And people would be like, Dairy Queen's open. There'd be a line for blocks down the street. And it was so much better than a regular Dairy Queen.
I love places like that.
There's a place in Corbin, the A&W stand, same thing, right? It's A&W, but it's not part of the franchise. I think Guy Fieri went there too.
Is it one of the drive-up ones? I love the drive-up. where the
Yep.
people come out like Sonic's
Car
model.
hop.
Yeah, when they come out like that. Yeah, A&W root beer stand is very good. We had one of those in Portsmouth too.
Yeah, I remember it was actually not far from the drive-in movie in Corbin. So, in the summer they'd both be open and we would go, up there and either see the movie and then hit up the root beer stand afterwards, or the other way around and take it to the movie with us. I worked with this guy named Jake who kind of took apart a futon and built it back again in the bed of his truck. So the back bed of his truck was just a futon, and we would all pile in there and go to the movies with our A&W. That was just a couple summers I did that. I worked at the whitewater rafting outfitters there at Cumberland Falls. But yeah, lots of interesting experience. The way I was in school, I barely had any actual experiences because I didn't get friends until high school, and I just tried to stay busy and out of sight. I did a bunch of extracurriculars. I didn't start actually trying to do things until my senior year. So all of my teenagery summers and stuff were in my 20s.
Yeah. I feel like it's after you come out that you really get to experience your childhood.
And there's a certain amount of courage or something you have to build up, or impatience, whichever one comes first, before you can take that leap and go okay, I'm just going to go places and do things as myself and take things as they come. I'm finding myself struggling with that again now because of politics, because so much forethought goes into how long before somebody brings up something political, because they do, because they always assume they're among people who think like them.
Right.
That's what, if you want to know what being a normie is, being a part of normative or hegemonic culture, it's, if any part of your day is spent under the assumption that you are with people who are like you, that's it. Because I never spend a second of my life like that.
Yeah. That's a hard line to follow when you're teaching, because you assume that your students think like you, and not all of them do, for sure. And not all of them tell you that. They don't tell you that until they do your evaluation at the end of the semester. I up front tell students that, the material that I teach leans left. That's just the fabric of the material. When you start talking about humanistic things and humans, it becomes, more liberal. It just does. And in one of my evaluations this semester said, I just wish the field of women's study didn't lean so far left. And it's I tell you that up front if that's going to be a problem,
Well, and what would right-leaning women's studies look like?
Right?
What do they think they're asking for here? Home economics? Like Susie Homemaker?
Probably pro-life kind of stuff and pro-marriage. Probably quiverful things, like that kind of ideology. That's probably what they're talking about. And I tell them, that's one thing I tell them. If you want to be a housewife and have 17 children, go for it. Feminism is behind you. It's the fact that you made the choice to do that. And not a lot of people back before now got to make that choice. It was just impeded upon them, and the fact that you have a choice to do that now, that's because of feminism. Whether you realize it or not, feminism has solved a lot of your problems.
Right. Feminism wants everyone to have some say in how they spend their lives, in what goals they pursue.
Exactly.
Did you ever see that movie Mona Lisa Smile?
A long time ago.
It's not really anything to write home about, but its singular interesting theme is the MRS degree, because they're at Wellesley, I think. The setting was this dichotomy of pretty prestigious academic environment, pretty rigorous academic environment, and people who were not there to take it seriously, but just kind of spending their time until they were coercively married. That was the norm. And so there's that tension of I think it's Julia Stiles and Kirsten Dunst who are the two students. I could be wrong about the Julia Stiles, but
I think it's Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts plays the teacher. So there's two students. There's two students who kind of wind up living this trajectory of, I go to academia under the assumption, like Kirsten Dunst's character, she's like, I'm just here for the MRS degree. I will be in your class, I will participate, but and Julia Roberts is a very women's liber type. And so they butt heads a lot. And her position is, I am not going to subscribe to your worldview. I'm just here to get my husband and then go. And she winds up getting fucked around with by patriarchy. Something bad happens to her. I don't remember what exactly. But she winds up engaging with critical thought, with feminist ideas and things. And she winds up kind of like altering her own trajectory based on what she learns and the experiences that happen to her. And the other character, who we think is going to be the one that does that, she winds up going like, oh no, I met a really great guy. I'm going to go be a homemaker. Thanks for all the things you taught me. This is what I intend to do with it. So yeah, I mean, pretty forgettable movie, but that was interesting. I think people were still doing that when I went to college.
Oh yeah, they were when I was there, for sure.
Because I heard people say like, oh, she's here for the MRS degree.
Yep. Because I went to a fairly good school, you know, like a well-renowned. There were a lot of people that didn't get into their Ivy Leagues that went to Miami, you know. And so there was a lot of competition for things and a lot of wealthy people there. If that is saying the mildly, there were wealthy people there. There were Bugattis in the parking lot. Like,
there's money in Oxford.
Yeah.
And it's not from Ohio a lot of the time.
Yeah. Like my roommate, my freshman roommate, her family, they were millionaires.
Can't relate.
Her dad stopped on the company jet for Easter and picked her up. That's what I said. Like, what? When I took her home for the weekend, she's like, I've never seen a real trailer before. I was like, well, do I got a treat for you?
I was talking to that nurse about all of these fucking medical chickens coming home to roost for me. I was like, I've always had this stuff. It's just all decided to raise its head at the same time, right? It doesn't want to be looked over. And I was like, look, my parents' generation was the first generation to not marry their cousin. I am a genetic mess. And who knows what's going on here? I mean, I went to school with people. Some of those families had bizarre mutations. And I hope, I don't, you know, if y'all are listening, I hope, I don't mean to make fun of you. What I'm saying is a genetic bottleneck, an extended genetic bottleneck, even if it ended 100 years ago, as is the case in Jellicoe, those effects stick around because like long-standing inbreeding loves to create supercategories. The best case scenario for any population is heterogeneity. It's a variety of traits, a variety of expressions of phenotypes and genotypes. That goes away when you have a genetic bottleneck. And instead you take that Punnett square. It's no longer a square. It becomes just the two squares, the recessive, dominant squares. It stretches everything else out into the middle to nothing. So you've got geniuses and morons. You've got people with bones, you know, as hard as steel, and people with bird bones and nothing in between. So that's what Jellicoe was like for the generations right up until mine, basically.
Right.
You get some weird stuff.
Like the two last names that I use are from my biological father and from my adopted father. And yet when you go up on Big Run and go to the cemetery, that's all the last names in the cemetery up there.
Yeah. No, I knew a girl from McKee, Kentucky, from Jackson County, she was extremely tall. I don't know how tall, but taller than me. And she had a double breastplate, which is just like an incredibly thick sternum, and it kind of stuck. She looked like a bird. Eyes were really far apart. She had webbed feet and an IQ of 170.
Wow.
And yeah, she's batshit now. Like, because I think on the one hand, extreme intelligence and mental health can be a mixed bag, but also she was just so different to everybody else, right? She had no peer group, and like whatever mental illness she did have, she inherited from her mom, and there was some delusional thinking in there, some paranoia. And so the voices in her head were more convincing than anybody she knew in real life because she had no peers. That's what happens when you have super categories. Nobody has any peers. Nobody is like anybody else.
I know you have the full spectrum of intelligence when it comes to my cousins. Like my sister and I were very lucky to be very smart. You know, I think my sister, when she dropped out of high school, she ended up taking the GED and got the highest score in county history. Like, she's very smart, right? She did well in college when she got her 2-year degree. She's just very book smart. And on the other side of the spectrum, I've got several cousins that have developmental delays and, you know, a lot of average people in between. So I've got one cousin who's really, really well off from his job. He went to DeVry and has worked with computers his whole life. And he's been working for a financial processor for a long time. And he's one of their big wigs and he's doing really well. So,
yeah, like that. The untapped genius of places like Appalachia is in part because of strange genetic pools like that, and like the likelihood of occasional genius is higher anywhere that there has been a genetic bottleneck, but also nobody's looking at it that way. If you see somebody who's got social anxiety or doesn't understand social cues because they've never had any peers, because they are also hyper intelligent or something like that, like you notice if you're looking at them from a deficit mindset, you're only seeing the things that they struggle with and not the things that were they to be resourced, appreciated, nurtured, could help that person live a fuller life. But instead, like what you've got is just every so often one person will jettison out of the region and go somewhere else and get access to something, and they'll look like the exception that proves the rule.
Right.
Because people have said all kinds of weird shit to me about being from Appalachia.
Yeah.
I'm going to clean my house today, man.
Yeah, me too. Our best friend is coming up in a couple of weeks, so we've got to get the house in order.
Let's do tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
With Pomodoro method.
Oh, yeah. We bought we have a lot of Amazon deliveries at our house, and so we get a buildup of cardboard boxes sometimes. And so we bought a cart, and we're going to take the cart and get all these cardboard boxes out of here. So it'll be a lot.
Yeah, I've been getting a shit ton of stuff delivered too. Just basically food. Need to get that outside. It's still negative. Oh no, it's up to -2.
I know it was 1 degree the last time I checked here, so I was like, woohoo.
Yeah, we're not gonna get above 0, but
are you in the snow path? Or are you guys above?
No snow for us. I don't think we had some the first day of the cold snap, and then it went on. So it's actually really sunny and nice out, but fucking cold.
Yeah.
Like my lips are chapped just from walking down the street yesterday.
Yeah, it's cold here, that's for sure.
Let's all stay inside and have our milk sandwiches.
Yeah.
Well, if we should do a movie about white trash for Black History Month, there is an intersectional storyline in that movie Matawan about the Cold Wars, the Battle of Blair Mountain. But yeah, I don't know if that's the T. And let us know what your weird hidden treasure is of wherever you live. Do you have what is it called? Hillbilly hog?
Hillbilly Hotdogs.
It's Hillbilly Hogs. That's something else. That's the name of this episode.
That was a business my parents were in.
Yeah. Well, let's show January out the door.
Woohoo.
And, I think this is our last episode of January. So, and the people of Minneapolis are still at war. So fuck ICE, fuck Donald Trump.
Amen.
Fuck Christine O.
Yep. She's a bird-legged hoe.
Bird-legged hoe. Yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Say hi to your mom, Neil.
Bye.